Digital Eclipse has cemented themselves as the king of retro game compilations. They don't just pile a bunch of old games onto a disc, they go the extra mile and pack their releases with an assortment of content. Not only do you get a wealth of games to choose from, but you also get bonus material like artwork and interviews, not to mention quality of life features like save states and achievements. Last year, they released Atari 50 and the TMNT Cowabunga Collection, two excellent compilations that celebrate the legacy of Atari and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This year, they put out The Making of Karateka, a game that is less a game and more an interactive documentary about Jordan Mechner. If the name sounds familiar, it's because he's the man who created Prince of Persia. But back in the early 80s, Mechner was a young college student trying to break into the gaming industry. He did so in 1984's Karateka, and The Making of Karateka chronicles the creation of one of the most pivotal titles from the early 80s. Special thanks to Digital Eclipse for sending me a review code for this game.
And just behind that is the game, Karateka.
The best way to describe The Making of Karateka is it's a docu-game. Unlike Digital Eclipse's previous efforts, this is more of an interactive documentary centered on the creation of the 1984 beat-em-up Karateka. Taking a cue from their previous title, Atari 50, the history of Mechner and Karateka is broken into chapters. Each chapter contains an interactive timeline that chronicles Karateka's different stages of development. These chapters are filled with loads of archival material and new video interviews featuring Jordan Mechner and company. As someone who loves learning about how games are made, it's interesting hearing him discuss creating Karateka and how he overcame the hardware limitations of the time to make it. This was the days before Unreal Engine and Unity made developing games a cinch. Jordan Mechner had to think outside the box, and it's fascinating seeing him discuss how he figured out the in-game animations or how he collaborated with his dad on the music.
And then slowly it kind of started to build, and I think it was in the spring that I found out that it was #1 on Billboard magazine's chart. And then the first big check arrived, and it was like, it wasn't just more than I had ever earned by my own efforts before. It was like it paid for my tuition for that year.
While the historical aspect has been treated with love and respect, how does the game side of The Making of Karateka fare? The original Karateka is fun, if a bit choppy and clunky. The premise is simple. There's a princess, she's been kidnapped, and it's your job to save her. The gameplay is self-explanatory. You move forward and fight increasingly tough enemies using your sick karate moves. Combat requires patience and timing. It's all about looking for the right moments to move in and land some hits. Simply button mashing will get you killed. New hazards are introduced as you move deeper into the castle, including booby traps and Akuma's pet bird, a bird who gives the crows from Castlevania a run for their money in terms of annoying the player. Digital Eclipse has included several options to lessen the challenge, including save states and rewind feature. You can even have the game play itself and listen to an optional commentary track, which is cool. Some purists may cry foul, but I don't mind these inclusions. The rewind feature is particularly useful because it lets you see where you messed up and learn from your mistakes. Karateka may take less than an hour to beat, but encourages you to replay the game and own your skills. Like I said earlier, the game is aged. There's some questionable collision detection and weird control movement, but the original Karateka is a fun brawler, one that laid the groundwork for others to expand and refine upon. In addition to the original, Digital Eclipse made their own remaster. Featuring detailed visuals and sound, as well as smoother controls, Karateka Remastered preserves the original game, but irons out all the kinks and adds some new challenges to mix things up. Besides the original and its remaster, there's an assortment of Karateka ports and prototypes to play. These vary in quality, with the Commodore 64 and Atari 800 ports being inferior versions of the Apple II original, while the prototypes let you experience the game in its early forms. Once you've had your fill of Karateka, there's Deathbound's Remastered, a reimagining of a top-down shooter Mechner was working on before it was cancelled. The goal is to fight your way through enemy-infested space trains to destroy the train's core. It's simple and addicting as hell. Overall, the selection of games is a mixed bag. Given the subject matter, it's understandable that the lineup wouldn't be as diverse as, say, the Cowabunga collection. There are some great ones and ones that are mere novelties, like the 2 unofficial Asteroids clones. If you don't like playing 7 variations of the same game, your mileage may vary.
To me, the magic of games of that era was exactly that they gave you just what you needed, and then as a player, you kind of filled in the blanks, like you used your imagination, and that had a big impact on me, with Karateka, and that's something I carried with me, into Mortal Kombat.
The making of Karateka is less a game collection and more an interactive trip through the creation of a game and the creator's past. Digital Eclipse has crafted an easily digestible museum that teaches you a thing or two about early A's game development. It's a remarkable deep dive into what it took to make a little game that had a big impact. It's a great history lesson with a decent collection of games. Digital Eclipse has supplied each title with loads of quality of life features and updates, but once you've played one version of Karateka, you've played them all. Though Deathbound's Remastered is tons of fun. As the first entry in their Goldmaster series, the making of Karateka is an admirable start. It's not the selection of games that will keep you invested, it's the time and effort that's been put into chronicling the early history of one man's career. The making of Karateka gets a 7 out of 10.